What's up everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today I want to touch on another one of the things that I feel has made a significant impact in my life, and that is reading books. It might sound crazy, a lot of you may already be avid readers, I'm not sure, but for me I was not. Once I left high school, I read one book between the age of 18 and 30 or 31, I don't remember the exact year, but I read literally one book in that whole time frame, and that was Smartest Guys in the Room, or The Smartest People in the Room. It was about the rise and fall of Enron, which was a phenomenal book, by the way. I would recommend reading that. Read that, and it didn't spur me to read more books, as sad as that is. I just read that book and just went right back about my life and didn't think anything of it. A few years back now, I want to say it's about 4 years now, I was watching a YouTube video from somebody, I don't remember who, and they were talking about how powerful that they found reading to be. And I kind of, yeah, I'll think about it. Then I picked up one of Tony Robbins' books, and I went through that, and it like lit a fire in me. And I have now gone on an absolute book bender over these last several years. And some books I read through more than once if I find good value in them. Some books I make it halfway through and realize that I just don't like it. And all I'm looking for when I'm reading a book is one bit of information that can help me. One sentence. If I can find one valuable sentence in a whole book from front to back, that book was worth it to me. But it's done so much for me. And then you start to read more of these books, and then more successful people that you read about, biographies that you read, and stories of their businesses, you start to see a theme. And the most successful people read more than anybody out there. And I might be wrong on the statistic, but I want to say it's the average CEO reads 52 books a year. And I think the average person reads like one or two. It's crazy the difference. And over the last several years, I don't know the total count at this point, I kind of stopped counting. But I know last year I read like 80 something books. And it's a mix between actually reading the paper book and listening to them on Audible. For me, I find some books to be more powerful on audio, especially when they're narrated by the author, because a lot of times the author's going to come through and add a little bit of extra to the book when they're reading it. And those little bits of extra can be huge tidbits of information from them that don't make it through the editors or whoever it might be. So what I'd like to do is give you guys a couple suggestions of books that I have found to be very valuable. And again, I get paid nothing for this. This is just me. These are what have helped me the most. And if you guys have seen any of my videos in the past, you know my goal is to help at least just one person. Of course, I'd love to help far more than one person, but if only one person finds value in one of my videos, then it's time well spent for me. Finding ways to help people is kind of one of my newer found purposes in these last few years. I'm not going to digress into this whole side of things of finding something bigger than yourself to work towards, and that's a whole nother topic for a whole nother video one day. We'll stick to books for this one. So this first book is probably going to be one you've heard of if either A, you're an avid reader, or B, you follow along with people who talk about reading. Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Phenomenal book. I make it a point to read that book once a year, and I have now for the last 4 or 5 years. Very powerful book in mindset. Another book I have found to be unbelievably powerful is Extreme Ownership by Jocko and Leif. If you've watched one of my previous videos, I know I talked about that book there. The book changed my life. The third book on my list that I have found incredibly powerful is How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. It is a book solely about communication. It's an old book. And it's kind of funny how that works because the Napoleon Hill book is very old as well. There's just some of these old standards of how to talk with people and how to get your mind right, and they've held true for 100 years, because I want to say the book was written in the 1920s. It's all about communication, how to communicate well with people, and it's not in depth on psychology, but understanding like how people react to being talked to in certain ways. Very powerful book for communicating. Fourth book of mine that I like, that was also, I found great value in it, and this author is either love him or hate him kind of person, and that is The 10X Rule by Grant Cardone. And it's a great book, and in my opinion I've read a few of his books that I think are great by way of getting your mind right on how to envision where you can go over the long haul, and kind of how to set some framework of how to think and how to set goals, how to build your aspirations right, where if you can, if you set a bar this high and you miss, then you're still down here. But if you set a bar all the way up here and you miss that one by a little bit, you're still so far above where you would have been otherwise. It's ridiculous. It's kind of some 10x rule for that one. And these next few I'll list, I'm not going to go into much detail at all about them. I found value in them, and they would just be on my list of recommendations. $100 Million Offers by Alex Hormozi. The funny part is I found the book long before I found him on YouTube, and now I'm kind of hooked to some of his YouTube videos. Another one, Jump by Steve Harvey. I thought that was a great book. Kind of tells a lot about Steve's history, where he came from, and how to just jump off the cliff and chase your dreams. A book that I thought was really good and is kind of really outside of my normal wheelhouse, which you could tell a lot of what I read is leadership, management, team building, communications, sales, all kind of fit inside of there. I kind of went off the rails on one, which was Green Lights by Matthew McConaughey. It's kind of his life story, and it's narrated by him. What an amazing story. His life is so interesting. I'm not really a celebrity follower kind of person whatsoever. Listening to what he did as a child, what he did as an adult, some of the travels he's taken. I love to travel, so hearing some of his travel stories was unbelievable. So just a great book to take in as kind of I would call it an easy reading book, not so much on like the personal development side of things. How about you? Leave a comment down below with your favorite book and maybe just a small tidbit about it. How it helped you, what did you find valuable in it? And then hopefully people reading the comments will see your book that you have found good value, and they will check it out and they'll find value in it. And again, this is all in hopes just to help people either grow as people, grow as business people, find better ways to communicate with one another, and just live an overall better life. So do me a favor, smash that subscribe button, and we'll catch you guys in the next video.